For the longest time, the story we've been told about compulsive porn use is that it's all about high libido, or maybe just a lack of discipline. It's framed as this epic battle of willpower that, let's be honest, a lot of people feel like they're losing. But what if that whole time we've been trying to solve the completely wrong problem? And boom, this one quote, it just cuts right to the heart of what we're talking about. It suggests the whole thing isn't really about finding pleasure, but about escaping pain. It's not about wanting to feel something, it's about wanting to feel nothing. And you know what? That changes everything. So, if we actually want to make a real, lasting change, we have to start by understanding the true trigger. It's not about just gritting your teeth and fighting the urge head on. It's about getting curious about where that urge is really coming from in the first place. Just take a second and think about it. When does it really hit you? Is it when you're feeling on top of the world, happy, connected with people? Or is it at the end of a long, totally draining day when your brain just feels fried? That pattern, that's the key. Look at the theme here. What connects all these things? These aren't feelings of desire or passion. They're feelings of stress, of being overwhelmed, of just being tired. The pattern isn't, I feel good and I want to feel even better. It's, I feel awful and I just want it to stop. And this is the light bulb moment, right here. The brain isn't looking for a thrill. It's looking for an off switch. It's basically searching for a digital anesthetic to just mute all the noise. Once you get that, once you see it's not about joy but about sedation, your entire approach can change. Okay, so this brings us to the core mechanic of the whole habit. We're not dealing with a simple pleasure loop here. We're looking at a self-perpetuating pain management loop. Let's break down how this thing actually works. So here's how it plays out. It always starts with stress. Your brain, desperate for relief, reaches for the quickest, easiest escape it knows. For a little while, you get that numbness. The stress just kind of disappears. But then comes the crash. The dopamine fades and shame rushes in. And what is shame? It's just another form of stress, which then fuels the need for another escape. And that is the trap. It's so insidious. Every time you run through that loop, you don't actually solve the original problem. You just add a whole new layer of pain on top of it, shame, which only makes the next urge even stronger. It's a downward spiral that's literally fueled by its own solution. When you put them side by side like this, the difference is just night and day. On one side, you have healthy desire, which is all about connection, about feeling more. And on the other, you have this stress relief habit, which is about disconnecting, about wanting to feel nothing. The outcomes couldn't be more different. One builds you up, the other just leaves you feeling hollow. All right, so if you've ever felt incredibly frustrated, beating yourself up because just trying harder never, ever works, well, there is a very real biological reason for that. This isn't a failure of your character, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of how your brain is wired. Let's tackle this question head on, because this is where so much of the guilt and self-blame comes from. The reason it fails is because you're trying to use the logical, rational part of your brain to fight a battle that's happening in the primal, survival-focused part of your brain. See, when your stress levels get too high, when that cortisol starts flooding your system, your brain flips a switch into what's called survival mode. And in that state, things like long-term goals and rational thought, they just go offline. Your brain's only priority becomes immediate relief, and it's going to grab for whatever has worked in the past, no questions asked. So let this one really sink in. This is not a willpower problem. It's a stress management problem. Trying to fight this deep-seated stress response with pure willpower is like trying to stop a tidal wave with your bare hands. You're just using the wrong tool for the job. Okay, so if fighting it doesn't work, then what does? Well, we have to shift our focus completely. We have to stop fighting the behavior and start addressing the root cause, the stress. And that requires a totally new toolkit, one that's built on awareness and regulation, not brute force. So here's a quick look at that new approach. It starts with just acknowledging the stress instead of fighting the urge. Then it's about figuring out what you're really trying to avoid, building healthy outlets to release that tension, creating a little bit of space, and, this one's huge, lowering your overall stress load day to day. Let's zoom in on one of the most practical tools in this kit, the 10-minute rule. It's so simple. It's actionable in the moment, and it works because it gives that survival part of your brain a chance to just calm down. An urge, when it hits, feels so powerful, so permanent, but it's not. It's really just a wave of chemical signals in your brain. If you can just commit to not acting on it for 10 minutes, maybe go for a walk, do some push-ups, anything physical, you give that wave the time it needs to crest and then recede all on its own. The goal isn't to never feel the urge again. It's to learn how to surf the wave. Ultimately, this entire journey is about making a fundamental shift in your perspective. It's about moving away from that exhausting cycle of shame and self-blame and stepping into a place of compassionate self-awareness. And this might be the most important takeaway of all. This behavior isn't a sign that you're fundamentally flawed or broken. It's a signal. It's a sign that your nervous system is overloaded, and it's just trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. So here's what that shift looks like in practice. You stop asking a question that's focused on the symptom. How do I stop this behavior? And you start asking a question that's focused on the cause. What's the stress I'm not dealing with? It's a simple change, but it redirects all of your energy. And here is the final piece of the puzzle. Shaming yourself for the behavior is so counterproductive because shame itself is an incredibly powerful form of stress. It literally pours fuel on the very fire you're trying to put out. Letting go of the shame isn't some reward you get for quitting. It's a necessary first step to even make quitting possible. So we'll leave you with this question. The next time that urge strikes, instead of putting up your fist to fight it, just get curious. Gently ask yourself, what am I trying not to feel right now? Is it loneliness, boredom, a sense of failure, overwhelm? That answer, that's where the real work and the real freedom truly begins.